we know, Nescafe is popular internationally from generation to generation. Nescafe is the largest brand for Nestle. The instant coffee brand derived its name from Nestle and Cafe. The coffee originated in Brazil in the 1930s. Instant coffee is a drink made from real coffee beans. Whole beans are roasted, ground, and brewed. Then all the water is removed from the brewed product, leaving behind the hydrated crystal of coffee. Nestle makes sure that people know that their top priority is the quality and safety of their products. First of all, Nestle has quality management system, which is the platform that they use globally to guarantee food safety, compliance with quality standards, and to create value for consumers. Starting with farmers and suppliers, they follow rigorous procurement and auditing processes to ensure they select safe, high-quality raw materials. They also apply the HACCP. Next, their factories have dedicated zone, equipment, and utensils for different ingredients to prevent cross-contamination. They follow certified cleaning and sanitizing practice at every step of production, and their employees are trained to fully adhere to the principle of good food hygiene. Food processing techniques are most important to make sure their products are long-lasting. As example, the instant coffee manufactured by either freeze drying or spray drying methods. Besides, their recipe and processing techniques are scientifically formulated to always deliver safe and nutritious products. They process food at optimum temperature, removing dangerous microorganisms and preventing the formation of contaminants. In addition, the products need to test to confirm they are safe to consume. Nestle carry out more than 100 million tests a year to verify the product. Nescafe also use professional coffee testers that highly trained to make the best coffee. Besides, when products are released from the factory, they make sure the product reach their destination in optimum condition. Packaging also helps consumers to know exactly when a product was produced, what ingredient went into it, and where those ingredients came from. The unique batch code. Before any product launch, they ensure that these are safe and compliant with any regulatory requirement. Lastly, they are also active in research on novel technologies to ensure that the best and most innovative scientific approaches are implemented to support the safety of their products. Nestle constantly improves their procedure to ensure the safety of products to consumers.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Najah Umara binti Rosli. So I will explain to you about raw material. So everyone know that coffee from the seed or beans of the coffee tree. Coffee bean contain more than 100 chemical including protein, oil, and more. So let me tell you the detail of the process of coffee making. First, drying and husking the cherries. Coffee cherry need to be harvested manually in the sun. This residue is eliminated by fermenting the beans in tank for 18 to 36 hours, allowing their natural enzyme to break down the gluey substance. Second is cleaning and grading the beans. The beans are grading according to size, location, latitude of the plantation where they grow, drying, husking method, and taste. When the beans are harvested under the unsearable condition of hot, humid country or coastal region, they must be shipped as soon as possible to avoid insect or fungi. When the coffee beans are arrived at a roasting plant, they are again cleaned and sorted by machine. Third is decaffeinating. There are two methods in this step, which is solvent or water method. First, the solvent method is the coffee beans are treated by a solvent, usually metal chloride. And second is a water method, which is steaming the beans to bring the caffeine to the surface and scraping off the caffeine layer. Next step is roasting. The beans are roasted in a huge roaster. The most common process are the beans are placing in a large metal cylinder and blowing hot air into it, while an old method is placing the bean into a metal cylinder and then rotate over an electric, gas, or charcoal heater. Roasting also darkens the color of beans, give them a crumble texture, and trigger the chemical reaction that imbue the coffee with familiar aroma. After leaving the roaster, the beans are placed in a cool vat wherein they are stirred with a cold air is blowing over them. Next step is instant coffee. In this step, an extract from the brew coffee is sprayed into a large cylinder. As it falls downward toward this cylinder, it enters a warm stream that converts it into a dry powder. Last but not least is packaging. Usually, it packaged in plastic film, aluminum foil, or can. But instant coffee absorbs moisture easily, so it is vacuum packed before being transported. Thank you. That's all from me.
So next, I will talk about the raw material processings. The first problem is when the factory receive the raw material of Nescafe, which is coffee beans. Coffee beans that originally from plant may have several biological and physical hazards. For example, there are many harmful microbes from soil and even on the plants. These microorganisms category in biological hazard that we cannot see with our naked eyes. If coffee beans contaminated with these hazards, this will cause intoxication of the bean if the handler not treat properly. Other than that, dirty air with highly contained dust also can be categorized as hazard to the raw material. Also can be same if the bean fall onto soil and the handler did not practice good hygiene. The bean will be contaminated with many types of harmful microbes. Finally, fertilizer also can be one of the common cause of food poisoning if the handler did not practice precautions of these situations. The fertilizer may contain highly chemical to kill the insect can be categorized as chemical hazards. In this process, if the handler does not handle it care, some of bean may contaminated with this chemical and causes a harmful effect to the consumer health. When coffee beans are contaminated with such conditions, the production of coffee powder to be marketed is a bad coffee powder. This is because when contaminated, the risk to consumer of this coffee powder will experience health problems such as food poisoning. The second problem is when drying process. In this process, it has been said that the coffee bean will be dry under sunlight and rubbed many times by labor until the beans are dry. So, the danger to the beans is when the beans has been contaminated with the surrounding air that has dust and dirty foreign matter. Moreover, when the beans are not dry properly, the microorganism like mold will produce. Mold reproduced by means of tiny spores. Tiny spores are like seed but invisible to naked eyes that float through air and deposit on surface. When the temperature, moisture, and available nutrient conditions are correct, the spore can form into new mold colonies where they are deposited. The last problem is while roasting process. It is because in this process, the chemical hazard can be occur if there is no proper handle of the material. For example, if the handler roasts the beans into the high temperature, there will be highly chance of chemical produce. We can see during roasting process, carbon dioxide is one of the major gases that form within the beans. This is due to the heat that catalyze chemical conditions, breaking down the complete carbohydrates into smaller molecules that causes browning of the beans. If the case did not handle properly, it might be harmful to the consumer because the case is too much produced. Even this case is set to prominent role in quality of the bean, but the high of consumer must be the main point of producing of product.
As the problem that mentioned, there will be a lot of variety type of hazard such as biological, physical and chemical hazard. But this hazard can be removed by doing several precautions. Started with choosing the plant food or fertilizer, it is advised to reduce the chemical fertilizer. Instead, using standard organic fertilizer can reduce the raw material from being contaminated with chemical substance in the fertilizer. Other than that, raw material which is seed may contain many insects. It is best to recommend to use natural pesticide instead using chemical to kill insects. Third, it is advised to wash the seed with hot water to kill pathogen or harmful bacteria that contaminate with seeds. Second, the worker should practice proper hygiene in order to reduce the risk of food contaminated with physical hazard during raw material processing. It is basic for all workers know on how to practice hygiene while working. For example, workers should wear proper attire such as apron, head cap, gloves, PPE, and so on. It is to avoid such as hair from falling into food. Other than that, if the worker has injuries or sick, it is advised for not working in the area of handling food in case to avoid unwanted things such as virus and bacteria contaminate with food. Third, food handlers should be aware and be precautioned during drying process. When the seed is drying under sunlight, the worker can avoid dust particle or any substance in air from enter the food by covering it with plastic container or any material that doesn't bother the process. Other than that, worker also should monitor the seed that been drying. The temperature should be high to avoid water level in raw material that's suitable for mood growth. Instead, using this method of drying, the seed can be drying by using oven or any device with high temperature in a short time to avoid any bacteria or mold growth. It same goes to the roasting process where the beans are being roasted. The worker should aware of the temperature and time taken during that process to avoid any microbial growth and chemical substance occur. Roasting are safer and also essential process for coffee processing. It helps to enhance the flavor and quality, but it also depends on the worker towards the temperature used.
Nestle is one of the largest companies with a good example. The company is certified by Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point (HACCP), Good Manufacturing Practice (GMP), and a halal assurance system. This can reassure customers about the safety of their food products. One of the products, Nescafe, is one of the top products that customers like. Therefore, all process from handling the raw coffee materials to the manufacture and management of workers are monitored to ensure that all the rules that should be in place in food production are practiced by the operator. Nestle also faced some problems during the raw material process, but they managed to find a way for those problems. They also ensure that the coffee they produce is of high quality for customers and a good company image. In conclusion, this case study gives students understand and be more knowledgeable about food production. And it is very important for food technology students to know so that they can apply it when they work.